Hi guys, this is Agent Greg. Welcome to my home studio. This is where I produce my music. A lot of you have asked me in the past to do some track deconstruction, track breakdown, call it as you wish, to explain you how I produce my music. And the track I picked today to show you how I did it is a track I did almost 8 years ago. It was released under Spinning Records, KRYTERIA. It's called RYDM. I did it with Dim Chord. It was included in God Save the Groove, a compilation made by KRYTERIA. It was supported by many DJs. And played in festivals like Tomorrowland. Let's not waste time. I'm gonna show you how I did this track. First things first, in house music, always the most important thing is the kick and the bass. If you got a kick and bass giving you the groove, then I don't think you're gonna go wrong. So I always try to listen to a lot of kick samples, pick up good ones that do not need much processing. So if I listen to a good sample, this is what I pick, and this is what I use in my productions most of the times. So this is my main kick. It's a kick, if I remember well, from a sample pack from Mark Knight and Tool Room Academy. I use it with no processing at all. And the only thing I do is that I do a second lane after the first lane that I use a kick. The second lane is a kick, but I cut down some of the low frequencies to make it sound like this. So it's a kick filtered, missing some low frequencies. And this is the kick in full effect, sounding like this. That's all, pretty simple. Now let's move on to the bass line. The bass line actually was, the main bass line was a loop. Was a loop with a lot of other elements going on. But when I listened to it, I thought that it had a very nice bass going on. So what I did was I removed all the unwanted frequencies and I kept only the low frequencies. This is how it sounded when I first listened to it. So as you hear, there is a lot of percussion going on and of course the bass. And after the processing, there's no hi-hat elements going on, there's no beat, there's only the bass. And I used the Kickstart. There's a plugin from Nicky Romero, probably most of you know it, that does this pumping sidechain effect. So all together, the bass and the kick sounds like this. And what I did is I added another, I used Logic ESM. That's a native Logic plugin, not an external plugin. I used, it sounds like this alone. Let me play it for you. It sounds like this. Just a very simple sub bass. So all together, it sounds like this. You can already feel the energy going on here. So once I have this energy going on, next step I always do is go and check what percussions will I use. So let's move on to the percussion section. As most of you know, I love drums, I love percussions, I love bongos, I love everything when it comes to sounds that come from the jungle, as I say. So for this track, for the track RYDM, I used some percussion loops to escort the kick and the bass that I showed you before. This is actually the first loop I played for you, which we used for the sub bass, but now it plays without the sub bass. If I remove the channel EQ, you can hear there is some low frequencies. With the channel EQ on, there's only these drums you can hear. So this is one loop. Let's go and listen to the rest of the loops I used for the track. Some percussion hits, then some other aggressive percussion hits. Okay, then I used this 808 loop, this small thing that gives something more to our rhythm, and then I use this stick loop. And the last one I used here is a clap hat loop, which goes like this. So all these percussions together this is what comes out. And then when we play together with the kick and the bass, then it sounds like this. So we got a pretty strong rhythm, I believe, for the track. Let's move on to the hat section. So for the hats, there are 4 hat loops playing. Actually, it's not only hats. It's hats and shakers together. You're gonna listen separately. Let's listen to the first loop. This is it. There's a little bit of EQ processing. Without it, there's some low frequencies that I didn't want. So I used just the Logic plugin to remove the low frequencies. Then the other loop that plays is this one. Just a pretty simple hat loop. The other loop is this one. And the last one is this one. So all of them together. And all together with the percussions and the kick and the bass. So this is the instrumental part of the track, missing only the next part, which is the synth. So let's move on to the synth part. I only use one main synth, which plays in the main part of the track, and one more instrument. I don't know what kind of is this sound. Sounds like again like a lead. Let's go to the breakdown. It's a Logic native stop plugin from ES2. Let me play it for you alone. Just like this. Is this note. So what I did with this one is I used a kickstart, of course, to create this pumping sidechain effect. Without this, sounds like this. If I put it on, you can hear the sidechain going on. Then remove some low frequencies. And then what I did for this sound was Logic native stock pitch fader to create this tension and this climbing effect, as I used to say it. There are some cracks if you listen while this goes up, but you can't listen to it when the track plays in full. So I'm gonna play it to you all together so you understand how it sounds in the track. So this is how it goes when it plays all together with the rest of the track. The vocals you will listen after, it's the next part. So this is the first sound I used, and then the second instrument I use, it comes from an external plugin called Nexus. Probably most of you know it. So only with a standard delay on, a little bit of EQing, cutting some low frequencies. The preset is actually called Knockback. This is very simple. The only thing I did is that I bounced this sound and I reversed it. So at the main part, after the breakdown, actually the main drop, you will listen this. This is a reversed lead sound. a little bit of reverb, a little bit of equalizing, and then the lead sound and the reverb sound like this. This is the reverse sound and this is the main sound. So all together sounds like this with the track. That's it. Let's move on to the effects part. So when it comes to the effects, it's something that I usually add at the end of the session. Usually I use some drum fills, some white noises, some downlifters, some uplifters, or some other weird sounds that I search through samples and packs I have. So let's listen to some of these sounds. Here we got some drum fills. Usually I play them before the drops. Some white noises that come here, like this. Some, let's listen to some uplifters. Usually before a big drop, it comes a big build up. So I use this kind of stuff, like a crash, like this. Or what else? This is mainly most of the stuff I've used in the effects section. Again, and also, of course, a typical drum roll that goes like this. Just a typical snare roll you listen to every house track, 909 drums. You never get bored of this. So this is the effects session. Last but not least, vocals. All producers always look for that hook, for that phrase, that something that people are going to remember. So I was scrolling through my Apple loops and I found this vocal.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Pump it up. Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Pump it up.
So this is something that sounds too high pitched for me, but I tried to pitch it down and then used some effects. Let's see how it sounds before.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass, man.
First thing I did was to pitch it down, so it sounds like this.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass, man.
So now it sounds like a proper male vocal singing. Then with some reverb,
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass, man.
sounds like this.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man.
So I thought we got something interesting happening. Let's see what else did I do. So I picked up some parts from the vocal for the breakdown.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass, man.
I used the EQ to bring it slowly, filtered, and build the tension for the build up before the drop. So you can hear it slowly coming from the back.
Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass, man. Build the rhythm on the bass.
Then I used the other phrase from this vocal again, which sounds like this. So I loop this phrase, and together they sound like this. They both get revealed slowly with a filter for the build-up. So it sounds like this again. And it goes like this. And just before the drop, I used this last phrase. It's again from the same vocal pack from Apple Loops. It's the same guy singing, but the phrase before the drop is this one.
Temperature is rising up. Temperature is rising up.
Which normally sounded like this.
Temperature is rising up.
Again,
Temperature is rising up.
better sounding when I pitch it down. Better sounds like this. So all together,
Rising up.
we're gonna listen to the whole build up before the drop with the vocals too. It sounds like this.
Temperature is rising up.
I'm happy that I saw you how I made this track. I hope you enjoyed the whole process. If you need more videos like this, just let me know. I will find the time to deconstruct more tracks for you. Now go on Spotify and stream RYDM. Thank you for watching.